Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Africa. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning to the rest of the world. It's the conversation on TOS Television Network. And guess what? It's the last day in the month of March 2021. And you can tell from the excitement that I'm actually excited that March finally comes to an end. I remember coming here, to say good morning. It's the first day of the month of March. And now today is the last day of the month of March. It felt like March ran by really fast. Okay, I have quite an interesting lineup for you today. But before we go, on the show, I am Adesu Welsi.
And I am Massa Fodaj. I was wondering when you were going to introduce me. You're
You
so
thought I
happy
wasn't going to
about the
call?
last day of March.
I'm just kind of excited that the month of Saturday comes.
Yeah, of course.
in.
It's the last day of first quarter. So we're still pretty much very excited that there's so much ahead of us.
Yes, exactly. All right, before we kickstart the show proper, we will be bringing you the quote of the day. So that's some end of March and Wednesday motivation for you right there. There's so many opportunities. Opportunities are everywhere. It's just, left for you to just open your eyes and see which one, applies to you, which one you want to take, and which one you feel as the, don't I can rest this one. That's how I see it, though. I don't know how I'm supposed to.
Yeah, basically it's like telling us that we all have a choice. Every decision you make is left to you. Everyone has, their way of seeing things, and you go for whichever things is best for you. That's just it.
All right. Okay. Having said all of that, we're going to go on a break. And when we come back, kickstart the show proper with development across Africa. Thanks for staying. Now we move straight into, development across Africa, starting from Senegal, where Senegalese artist Omar Ba tackles politics and the pandemic with paint. Now, when Senegal erupted in violent protests this month over perceived injustice and inequality, artist Omar Ba was tackling the issue in his own way with paint on canvas. What the youth are doing in the streets is the same thing I'm doing in my studio, said Ba, stepping in black paint and making footprints on a new canvas in his airy workspace outside the capital, Dakar. Ba, one of Senegal's best-known contemporary artists, has often used his art to make political statements. A current exhibitor at the Gallery Templon in Brussels, Anomalies critiques power-hungry leaders through a series of portraits of imaginary head of states. Barr said he was shocked to see such intense violence on the streets of his own country, widely viewed as a model of stability in West Africa. These are things I had seen on TV but never here, he told Reuters in an interview. Quite interesting,
Very.
They said people can make impact in any way. Like, you can even make impact in your own little corner. And, people had gone out on the streets to protest, but this is an artist say, look, I'm a creative. Art is what I know how to do
telling
best.
a story.
Yes.
The best way you can.
How about I just use what I know how to do best, to tell that whole story and to checkmate this thing and to just, and then the paintings are quite beautiful. And then you can just see and know that, so even when the protest is over and you see the paintings or the artwork,
it's more like a story, like a reflection of what has happened.
Exactly.
And it's here to stay.
Exactly.
That's one thing with art.
Very, very,
I'm an
very
art lover. I don't know about you.
I greatly am an art. Yeah, I love art. Like, really, really do love
All
art.
right. Moving on to Uganda, where 8 people have been arrested in Amuru district for marrying off a 15-year-old girl to a 33-year-old man. Those arrested include the groom, Charles Ojok, and the teenage bride, a primary 6 pupil at Oloyotong Primary School in Amuru district. Others under custody are Evelyn Akiro, the teenage mother, the girl's uncle, Nieko Abuja, John Okwiro, who is an uncle to the bridegroom, El Nato Kibota, Joseph Kumakech, and Wilberforce Okwonga. The suspects were arrested on Saturday afternoon from Oloyotong village in the Amuru sub-county while holding a celebratory party for a successful traditional Acholi marriage that took place on Friday evening. Reports indicate that Ojok and his relatives on Friday evening paid dowry and an unspecified amount to the family of the teenage girl in exchange for her hand in marriage. Michael Lakoni, the Amuru district chairperson, said that the police and district authorities were notified of the illegal marriage, prompting them to rush to the scene on Saturday, where they arrested the ill-fitting couple and their relatives. The suspects are currently being detained at Otwi Police Station in Otwi Town Council. The groom and his family members who traveled from their home in Koch in Nwoya district in the happening in Uganda. Very sad story, I must say.
It's
sad
not just sad.
to
It's
see that,
cringe-worthy.
that at this point we're still struggling with the issue of, child marriage,
yeah.
and people who cannot make choices for themselves are being offered in marriage, by their family relatives. It's really sad, because what does this say in the long run? Will this person be happy when she has attained, the age of, responsibility, getting like reactions for actions and all or whatnot? So people at this age are not supposed to be married, in my opinion. And I thought we were past that.
She should be in school.
I mean, Africa, I thought we were past already.
There are parts of Africa that are still deeply entrenched in a cake tradition and a cake way of doing things, right? Because I know, like, they will tell you in the days of our forefathers, it was normal. You could marry a girl of 12, 13. But things are, like, we know it better now. The world has gone beyond that. And we still have countries and provinces in Africa that are still not, joined the bandwagon to see that things are different. I'm totally not against somebody marrying early, but early at a time where I can make decisions for myself. I know this is what I want at this time. Early enough, like at the age where I can say, okay, maybe I don't want to go to school anymore. I want to get married. Do this again. But that should solely be the girl's decision, not you making that decision for her. And then she being, an African young girl who has been thought that, look, your parents know the best for you. Your parents should be left to make, life decisions for you, and you should respect their decision. And there are people who don't want to, disrespect their parents, disrespect tradition. And, for some persons, they say, I don't want to embarrass my family and all of that stuff. So they just agree to getting married, even without, being happy. How can you marry a 15-year-old to an adult of 33-year-old? What do you have to say to each other? Imagine that. That's marrying a child. That's like your younger sister by so many years. It's I don't see the balance. There's so much imbalance.
I really do hope, like,
sad.
with the constant, reportage of such events, people's ideologies will really change. Because I want to see an Africa where, in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, all these things are a thing of the past.
Things
and we're talking about things, going forward, development across Africa and everything.
Child, not bride. They will keep advocating for a child is not a bride. A child should, let's say, have child life, whatever a child or a teenager should be doing at that time, whether it's going to school, or trying to achieve so much, or that child doesn't even know what it wants to do with her life yet. It's just 15 years old, right? And then you're marrying her off to somebody. For me, I just feel like you're just cutting her life off at a very, young age.
You're investing her in something that I'm not sure she's ready for.
Marriage is not child's play, and then it's quite terrible. All right, moving over to another story. Contributory pension scheme against its steady rise has repeatedly maintained since inception at the fastest growing fund in the economy, dropped by 7 billion naira in January. That's pension assets. There's a drop in pension assets. It dropped by 7 billion naira in January. Now, reports gathered by TOS News from the National Pension Commission, that's the NPC, on its report titled Unaudited Report on Pension Funds Industry Portfolio for the period ended 31st January 2021 proved it. The report shows figures on approved existing schemes, closed pension fund administrators, and RSA funds, including unremitted funds. According to the figures, the pension assets, which ended December 2020 at 12.306 trillion naira, dropped to 12.299 or 299 trillion naira as of the end of January, while 8.1 trillion naira was invested in FGN securities, including FGN bonds, treasury bills, agency bonds, SUK, UK, and green bonds.
We move over to, the Super Eagles camp. It's a really good story here, I must say. Super Eagles winger Alex Iwobi has been cleared by the Confederation of African Football to play against Lesotho. And, after the game, they emerged victors, 3-0. Exactly. And that's really good because, we won in Benin Republic.
Exactly.
And now they came to our house in Teslim Balogun Stadium, Lagos, and we won 3-0.
I like the way you say they came to our house.
Yes, it's our house. So like it's a good story there. I must say.
We're quite excited about it. And then, it would be, I think it was a few days ago, he tested positive to coronavirus. And then so they were going to take him off
the
games
team
and all of
to
that
play.
stuff.
But
I think
before the game, he was cleared.
Yeah, he was cleared, because I was like, no, you cannot have COVID at this time. But it was good to see that, another test was done and actually did test negative.
Positive.
And he participated in the game. And then we won.
We won 3-1.
Great.
Good one for us.
Great. All right. Talking about COVID, we're going to go on a break now. And in that time, we'll be bringing you COVID-19 updates from across Africa. This COVID-19 update from across Africa is gathered by Africa Center for Disease Control for today, 30th of March, 2021. Now, my face is like this. I think most of us get it.
It's the routine, like every day. I cannot forget.
Every day. I can't forget. Like, I cannot stop, hitting on it and hammering on it that we need to do everything, because I know the world is talking about a third wave now.
Yes,
like it was the first wave and we're expecting the curve to flatten, and then they started talking about a second wave, and now it was like, okay, we're getting done with the second wave. Oh, we're hearing the third wave, and some countries are already being hit by third waves. Think of just like Brazil and all of that stuff. And I think we haven't gotten to that part yet in Africa. Africa is still dealing with the second wave. So we don't have to get hit by the third wave of COVID-19, because I know that the third wave is only worse than the second wave. So please, I'm begging this time, do the needful, do everything that you need to do to ensure that you are safe and the next person is safe. Protect yourself, sanitize properly, just proper, personal hygiene. Wash your hands when you can. Even if you can't, if there's no water and soap available, please just use, hand sanitizer, recommended hand sanitizer, safe ones, because I know that there's unsafe hand sanitizer out there. So just safe ones. And, wear your face mask, get vaccinated if you can't trust everybody now vaccines. We know these things, we know these routines. Let's just do it so that you and me, like Merciful and I, can come here every day and not have to talk about, COVID-19 and all of that. Yeah. Okay, we're good, right? All right. So having said all of that, we're going to go on a break, and then when we come back, we'll be taking you through, the front pages of the newspapers this morning.
TOS TV Network mobile app is now available. You can now catch up on our breaking news, stream our programs live, watch out for the latest update on sport and politics as they unfold. You can also get notifications for our upcoming programs and events. All these on our TOS TV Network mobile app, available on Apple Store and Google Play Store. TOS TV News from Africa by Africans.
Being a journalist means in-depth analysis that unravels hidden truths, that question the status quo and fact-checks government.
These criminal elements hiding under the cloak of surveillance contractors are the APC elements.
Do you have facts to prove that? Being a journalist means waking up every day with a burning desire for peace, equity, and justice for all citizens.
We're being told that the choice you have is to take the lesser of two evils.
It means patriotism via the prism of objectivity and accountability. It means giving my platform to the masses to discuss issues that matter to them.
Some of them, if they bring budget, and the budget they look. Some of them sleep. They're going to ask how much you are on. I have it.
Thereby shaping government policies and laws. My name is Osasu Igbenegbu, and I am the People's Judge.
welcome back to The Conversation, showing on your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. And don't forget, you can be a part of it by following us on our website, www.tostvnetwork.com, and also follow us across all our social media platforms, Instagram at TOS TV Network, Facebook, TOS TV Network, Twitter at TOS TV Network, and also subscribe on YouTube at TOS TV Network, and get all the content we have for you. And we move over to the newspaper review today, where we bring you headlines from some major newspaper dailies for this morning. We begin with Blueprint, and from the very top we see Airtel loses more customers as subscribers dump MTN others. A very interesting story, I must say, that can be found on page 23 of the Blueprint. And underneath we see global economy improving amidst COVID-19 uncertainties, coming from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and that story can be found on page 22. And the headline underneath the Blueprint tag is NSCIA tackles scan over justices designate, hijab. That's coming from NSCIA, who are tackling the Christian Association of Nigeria over justices designate, talking about the hijab and everything. If you want to get the story, you can grab a copy of the Blueprint. And then 11 petrol tankers destroyed in Kaduna Inferno. That story can be found on page 20 of the Blueprint. We move over to the very gaping headline, Buhari to service chiefs, don't give bandits, kidnappers space. The writers say, orders security agents to take out criminals, sponsors. And Zamfara no-fly zone remains. 2 priests, 20 others killed in Ebonyi, Benue. And that story can be found on page 5 of the Blueprint. And just underneath the picture of the day, federal government, $1.5 billion, 995 million euros foreign loans suffer setback at Senate. That story can be found on page 5. And right underneath the story says, lawmakers suspend approval of 8.5 billion naira 2021 FCT IRS budget. And you can find that on page 5. And the last headlines for the Blueprint underneath, smugglers now use donkeys, camels to ferry contraband. Interesting, coming from customs. Smugglers using donkeys and camels to, carry, to ferry contraband. And Akwa Ibom, cultists set another police inspector ablaze. A very sad one. Story can be found on page 18. And Easter, federal government declares Friday, Monday public holidays. Page 4 is that story. Novelty match, Governor Bello strikes as GYB team forces ex-Eagles to a 1-1 draw. That can be found on page 6. It's a very funny one, I must say.
Yes, very funny actually. Okay, moving away from the Blueprint newspaper, I'm going to be doing the Daily Trust first, and then starting from the very top. Senate panel faults federal government 995 million euros loan request for agric mechanization. And then just beside that one, no move to initiate third term for Buhari. That's coming from Lawan. And then how tax law forces manufacturers to pay higher than banks. These are the very first headlines on the Daily Trust newspaper. And then going to obviously the very, obvious and gaping headline there. Gunmen kill 31 as Buhari tasks service chiefs to be proactive. There are 3 riders on that headline. The first one, 27 murdered in Ebonyi reprisal, 4 shots dead in Benue, and the last one says community leader, vet doctor kidnapped in Adamawa State. And then just underneath the picture of the day, very colorful member of the National Youth Service Corps right there. Occupy hospitals where Buhari will be, Showore tells Nigerians in London. And then underneath that, I made a mistake. Tinubu clarifies comment on recruitment of 50 million youths. He did say 50 million youths should be recruited into the Nigerian army. He said that yesterday, and then today he says he made a mistake. If you're interested in that, get yourself a copy of the Daily Trust. Just beside that, police rescue man from kidnappers in Osun State. Quite impressive. And then the last headline there says NELGE urges Nigerians to reject moves to delist local government areas. All of those stories you can get or find inside the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
I think they're really interesting stories.
Very
that we really want to. But
exactly.
After all the stories, we'll just talk about them briefly. All right.
Okay.
I'll move over to the Daily Times, and we begin from the very top as well. Lawan blames executive for Buhari's failure to sign bills, and that can be found on Daily Times. We move over to the very obvious headline: federal government alleges sabotage, orders manhunt for sponsors of banditry, other crimes. That can be found on page 2 of the Daily Times. And the picture of the day, we see President Muhammadu Buhari, departing Abuja to London for his routine medical checkup, which is Tuesday yesterday. And yeah, the story underneath says export Nexim supports women, youth with 10 billion naira export facility. The story can be found on page 3. And syringe importation, Senate summons ministers, NAFDAC's DG over syringes importation. That can be found on page 3. And the last headline is revenue reps committee raises customs revenue target to 1.679 trillion naira. All the stories can be found on page 3 of the Daily Times.
Moving away from the Daily Times to the News Direct, starting from the very colorful headline on the top there. No tenure extension for Buhari. That's coming from the Senate President. And then beside that, on page 20 of the News Direct, Malibu oil deal apologized to Etete, Ijo youths tell federal government. 2 billion naira trial, no trace of contractors that received 1.7 billion naira under Babangida Aliyu. That's coming from a witness. And then, you know, to the very obvious headline there, the main headline for the day, Buhari orders service chiefs to arrest bandits and sponsors. That's on page 6 of the News Direct. And then underneath, you know, the picture of the day, NCDMB and NPC Brass Fertilizer signs shareholders agreement on methanol project. Underneath that, federal government to create 30,000 jobs through community security program. And the Nigerian medical professor emerges America's best physician 2020. That's the last headline on the News Direct this morning.
All right, we'll move over to the very last, newspaper daily this morning, and that's that business day. We begin from the very top. We can see infographic graph showing the market, where you can monitor it. Grab a copy and get the details. The very obvious headline there says Nigerians struggle to eat as prices of major staples double. We see a graph there showing, the prices and the fluctuations and everything. And just side by side, as production troubles force all firms to defer $1.6 billion crude output in 1 year. That can be found on page 30. And inside Nigeria get J&J vaccine option as AU responds to India export ban. All of these stories can be found on Business Day. You so get yourself acquainted with business happenings and everything around the world of business.
Very interesting headlines. Before you get into, the one that caught your fancy, I think going over all of the dailies this morning, and then when I read the News Direct, I think I found federal government to create 30,000 jobs through community security program. And so I think this is killing two birds with one stone, right? So we're looking at how to solve insecurity, and then we're looking towards community policing and all of that stuff. But also using that to tackle the current high rate of unemployment in the country, which is actually quite impressive, right? And the way I feel the government, or the federal government of Nigeria, or the government of this day, is looking, being proactive with, issues that are finding their ways to the front burner, the issues of security, and I think we've been talking about that for the last 2 days. And then now on the issue of unemployment, looking at, okay, so we have those problems, right? So why trying to tackle these problems? Why not, try to tackle these other problems? I know Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu said yesterday that, look, recruit 50 million Nigerians into the army. That's a way to solve insecurity, but that's also a way to, to create jobs for, the teeming number of unemployed youth that we have in the country. So it's like tackling two problems and killing two birds with one stone, which is actually, quite impressive for me.
Yeah. And, that's the story that caught my fancy, really, because, we spoke about the details, 50 million, it was quite a number.
Exactly.
And, people all over the internet kept saying, look, is this possible? Have you asked them if they wanted the job?
We said
Do you know what kind of job it is?
Exactly.
So I actually saw some sort of reactions following, but I didn't know that he was going to come out and say, look, he made a mistake.
Yeah, but we don't know the full story. So
you have to grab the copy of the newspaper. So that's really...
But I didn't know that quite a number of young Nigerians are interested in enlisting into the army. Maybe not 50 million, but they're quite a huge number.
Definitely, they're always two sides of a coin, They're always two sides of a coin. One side saying, look, I don't know how the structure is, I don't want to, to be drafted and get sent to maybe like Sambisa or somewhere in northern Nigeria where, the issue of insecurity is quite high because, they've got families to protect. Another side is saying, look, I just want anything job. So unemployment has been like the root cause of so many things. So we have the other divide saying anything that can fetch me money at the end of the month, I can take care of my family, I'm good for.
There are people that are genuinely interested,
Passionate about,
about
true.
serving in the
If you look at
military.
it,
But 50 million is a huge. That's like 1/4 of the entire population of Nigeria. Asking is, this in Nigeria is approximately
a lot of people
200
say it was
million
not possible.
people.
A lot of people say
And
it
I'm
was
looking at the
never
possibility.
possible.
How to 50 million people? That's a lot, right? That's a huge lot.
And they're all youths.
Exactly. And then another one that caught my fancy is, Nigerian medical professor emerges America's best physician in 2020.
Yeah.
It's very congratulatory, but it's very sad. It's like our
Very,
best talents
actually.
are leaving the country. And I think it's one of the things we're going to be talking about in the conversation today. Because across all sectors, both, science, engineering, medicine, just professionals, they feel like I have a better opportunity. The climate is better. You have, you can work better. You have
Yeah, the
facilities,
environment is really
the environment
friendly.
is
The
better,
structures are put in place
and then you can
everything.
focus on what it is you really want to do. Like you said, you could go to a specialist hospital, and then what you actually need, the doctor you actually need, is not there.
you may not
But
find.
it's different in other climes, and I see a lot of our medical personnel actually just leave the country and say, look, I'm going to go to a place where my services, my whatever skill will be better, put into better use, and I have facilities, and I will not be frustrated. And I've heard lots of them say that and all of that. So and then saying this, I was quite proud. Oh, Nigerian is doing that outside of Nigeria.
I have double
But
feelings for
yes,
it.
but
Really,
it also
because
makes me sad.
really,
Like, it's not actually here.
are being the best outside.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
happens to our, our medical system
Exactly,
here?
exactly.
We have our president leaving the country. We have people of prominence leaving the country to treat themselves, and you becoming the best physician there. What about we who are sick?
We could put all of that into use. Imagine having that kind of person, that kind of doctor, that kind of skill set with a skill set here
There's
with a
so
more
much
improved
value.
medical or health sector, and just picture what it is that we can get in Nigeria. We need to put all of that into perspective and try start to do better. All right, that's much you take on the newspaper review segment of the conversation. We're going to go on a break, and when we come back, I will be taking you through what's trending on social media. Welcome back. Now it's about that time where I take you through, what's trending, the hashtag that has been trending, that made it to the top of the trend table in social media. And talking about social media, don't forget to follow TOS TV Network across all social media platforms. TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also on YouTube at TOS TV Network. Also, you can just take out, time to check out our website, www.tostvnetwork.com. Now, coming back into, what has been trending on social media. The mishap, the very sad event that happened in Ebonyi State on Monday has been trending on social media, just in case you're not fully abreast of what happened. So on Monday, scores, were allegedly killed. A number of people were allegedly killed, by suspected, Fulani herdsmen in Ebonyi State. That's Egede, Obegu, and Amuzu communities in the Eshilu local government area of Ebonyi State. And, like I said, they were killed by, men suspected to be Fulani herdsmen who invaded the communities on Monday. Now, there are quite a number of reactions. I've traced, that story. And then I'm going to take out a few tweets to that regard. And this first one is from, popular public figure, Reno Mockery. He says, the photos of the 25 people killed in Ebonyi today by alleged herdsmen is so gruesome. If I post the photos here, Twitter may take punitive action against me. Hands chopped off, heads split open. Shall we continue to be killed by one until we're all gone? Hashtag Table Shaker. And then the next one is from at Dr. Okafor Iman 1. I better die speaking up for my people than to keep silent and allow an ethnic cleansing to go on. At Ebonyi State Government, at Real Dave Emohi are docile to speak against these killings going on in Ebonyi State, orchestrated by Fulani jihadists, and it goes on to tag quite a number of figures. And then this one is from at Rosemary Ocheze, and it says, there was a time we would say the northern terrorists dare not take their madness to the east. They dare not dare an Igbo man. But look at Ebonyi, Delta, Enugu today. They do not only chant war songs, but bring the war to our doorstep. Has the mighty falling? And then I think the last one is from Elochu Ohagi. Fulani herdsmen, terrorists, killed more than 25 people in Ebonyi State. The Nigeria police and military is not talking about it, but they were after ESN, whose duty is to defend the people against terrorists. Can you now see that the government backs Fulani herdsmen?
Yeah.
What's your reaction?
You see, concerning this, there was a time on the show here where we spoke about if the issue of insecurity is not tackled properly in the northern part of Nigeria, it would definitely spread across. Exactly. And this is quite evident here, because we had the topic and we're like, we come every day, we talk about one issue of insecurity or the other. People are tagging it to northern Nigeria. And I'm saying if these things are not being addressed as quick as possible, and it's already happening, like what the other tweet said, is that there was a time when the Igbos, South was saying, look, this cannot happen. They were blaming the northern governors, blaming Nigeria as a whole, that look, this cannot happen here, you better fix this. Like I was saying, it's one Nigeria. We're unified, and we should tackle this from the first point of, pressure, when it started becoming a theme. Now it's getting across, all the states, like Ebonyi State, for instance. It's a core eastern state. Like you can't say it's one of those states that we really not know they're beyond the boundaries. So now it's evident that it can happen. So we're trying to make these things priority so we can address them as soon as possible.
Exactly. It's as though when they say you have an injury on one part of your body and you don't treat it, and it starts to fester, and then before you know, the whole body starts to suffer, from whether the infection or all of that stuff. And I think that's what we've seen with the issue of insecurity in Nigeria. It used to be like another Nigeria. First of all, it was a Borno State, issue.
It was
it was in Borno State, the whole insurgency, and then it spread to other part of northeastern Nigeria, and we're still looking at it like it's all happening in the north. It's not my business. It's not happening in my state. And then we had it, Edo State, Ondo State, Delta State, and then we had it was in Enugu State, and now we're hearing it happening in Enugu State, spreading to the east, or your state. So it's basically going around. It's in the north, it's gone to the east, it's in the west. Before you know it, it's in the central, and then we're having all of it,
it's really
all over Nigeria. It's quite sad. It's very sad really. And very scary at the same time, because you don't know what's going to happen next, right? We're talking about community policing. We're talking about, security forces, for that, I don't know, strengthening them, re-strategize, or whatever it is that wants to be done. But it feels as though, I don't know if there's really so much to be done. There's really so much to be talked about. And
this problem, it generates a lot of branches. Like we see, it's really sad to see some tweets, addressing, with some undertones of, segregation, secularization. People saying, look, that's why we need to be this way, we need to be that. So this is the root cause. And I keep saying it, we can only address these issues as one country.
Exactly.
It's very important that we know that these issues can be addressed, because really, if we all brought in our own quota, we contributed and say, look, this can happen. We start from the federal government, all the strategies we're talking about, the tactics, we bring in all we've been saying about. We need to start
looking at how it works together to tackle the issue of insecurity. We cannot say, okay, like I think back now, we cannot
people will not say it's a northern
to
team.
The federal government or even to the state government. It needs to trickle down. We need to go. It needs to go around. You need to look at individual way of preventing or protecting yourself, tackling insecurity. That's why they say you need to know your next door neighbor. So you cannot say it's not my business anymore. You cannot just close your eyes and say, look, it's not my concern. And you have to know your next door neighbor, so you can say when something is happening, you already know, look, something is sketchy around here. Definitely. And then understand. And then we have to also have, I know, hotlines, security hotlines that we can call to say, look, something is happening. proactiveness, really. Proactiveness is one way, and then looking at issues of using technology to tackle
Yeah, we spoke about
insecurity,
it yesterday,
then all of
digitization
those
and
stuff. There's so
everything.
much to be done. It's quite sad. Like when I saw the news this morning that Ebonyi State, that happened in Ebonyi State, and I'm like, when is all of this going to be over? Really, are we going to keep having this day in, day out?
I
It's
cannot
quite
wait
sad.
to see all these things being addressed. The tracker we spoke about yesterday, digitization of security force and intelligence and everything. I cannot wait to see everything addressed.
Like, all right. I'm quite saddened by that one. But okay, the show continues. And we're going to go on a break. And then when we come back, we'll be taking you through the big story.
North to South Africa, East to West Africa, TOS TV Network is your digital-first Pan-African news network, bringing you news from across the continent. Visit our website www.tostvnetwork.com and follow us on social media at TOS TV Network on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Watch us on television, channel 138 on TSTV.
You're welcome back. It's the conversation showing on your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. And of course, it's that moment where we bring you the crux of the program, the big story. And this morning, we'll be talking about to leave or to stay in Nigeria. We're talking about migration. Young Nigerians make up the largest population of the growing flow of migrants from Africa to developed countries. In 2016, over 20,000 involved in the Mediterranean Sea crossing were reported to be from Nigeria alone. In addition, from 2017 until late 2019, hundreds of Nigerians migrants were deported from various destinations, including Italy, Libya, and South Africa. These young people embark on very risky journeys across the globe, and casualties continue to increase on a daily basis. Understanding their reasons for leaving the country is important if Nigeria is going to stem the tide. Joining us live in the studio this morning to talk about this issue is a broadcaster and political analyst. This is Danny Sucre. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine.
Good morning. Okay, first of all, I'd like to know which side of the divide you belong, to leave or to stay.
Well, I think I'll be on the side where I'll say, do what suits you. Because the people who want to stay, the people who want to leave. I personally, it's a personal opinion, I want to stay. But I would not talk down or try to emotionally blackmail anybody who wants to leave. In fact, if I have a way of helping you leave, I would do that, if that is what you want. Okay. But for me personally, I would want to stay because, that's going towards my faith now. I know what I want to do. Okay. I've known what I want to do. I know where I want to do it, and that's why. So if anything changes, it won't be any time now. But for me personally, I would want to stay. That doesn't mean I'll look down or talk down anybody who wants to leave even this minute.
Okay, I like your take on that one. And then when Merciful was reading the statistics, earlier, he did speak about lots of people who would do anything and risk their lives just to leave the country. People go through, deserts, treks through the deserts, go on the Mediterranean, lots of people drowning just, leave, the country. But what, in your opinion, why do you think people are hell-bent on doing that? Despite knowing, the rough terrains and what could the possibility and, the dangers involved and all of the risk, but they still risk it all just to leave the country. Why do you think that is?
Well, Merciful read a very interesting statistics about the amount of people who had gone and how it is quite risky, all of the stress they go through to travel. Those who even have it a bit legitimate go through probably Libya or Angola or something, and then probably they they stamp their visa from that end and they go with no plan. The mind is, let's just get in here.
Yeah.
Now, those who don't have all the luxury of having it very legitimate join ships, like you see people hide
Thousands,
in vessels,
yeah.
and they just want to that's to tell you the desperation. Now, the reason for this is because a lot of these people have just had this mindset: if we leave, it go better. There's no point, and it's really pathetic. It's painful. It doesn't make any sense. We heard a 7 minister in this administration say that we have enough doctors to go round when he was confronted with a question as to what do you have to say about the exodus of doctors from the country. He said it. I mean, we have enough doctors. We also heard a minister in this country say that doctors should go to farm. I mean, how are you doing this? I mean, the WHO and the UN standard for doctors is about 1,000 or 2,000 per 10 doctors or so. Nigeria is lacking behind. There are countries who are doing 7 doctors per 1,000. I mean, if I read that to you, you would be shocked. Now, we have a country like Cuba that's in 8 doctors per 1,000. We have some people who are doing as much as 1.7 doctors and all of that. Then you have countries like Georgia, Austria, and Sweden who are doing about 7 doctors per 1,000. Nigeria is doing 1 physician per 2,500. It is really bad. Now, it is so bad that doctors are ready to leave this country and pick up art jobs, management jobs, administrative jobs. I mean, they're ready to drop 7 years of being in university, 1 year housemanship, 1 year youth service, and maybe a couple of experiences they've had here and there to go pick up a HR job, a front desk job, a office assistant job. It's that bad.
Yeah. Now let's look at the motive of those who are migrating, who are leaving. This morning we spoke about a news of a Nigerian who emerged as the best physician in America. Now we have a Nigerian who emerged as the best physician in America. Is this not enough motive for people to say, look, the structure here is not okay. Like everything is not good. Like we read tweets, people saying, look, everything is just to Japa. Let's just move. Yes. So now people are we have Nigerians doing best, like being at their top ranks outside. Is this not enough yardstick for people to live?
Do you also know that a Nigerian was part of the team that discovered the Oxford
AstraZeneca vaccine?
Yes. I mean, that was massive. A Nigerian was in charge of the finances of the armed forces in the US. And after his tenure, it was seen that there was no corrupt issue. I mean, monies given to him was disbursed well and everything went fine. I mean, should we go on and reel all of this out? I mean, if we are looking at the fact that the country is not getting better, and once you step out of this country, you seem to excel. You know why? By default, we are hardworking people.
Yes.
By default. Yes. And so you take that hard work. Let me give you an example. A friend of mine who's a doctor was saying that if his classmate, who's a doctor too in the US, was given staff of the month in the hospital. Why was he given that? Because his shift had ended. And the person who was to come take over from him had a little issue and couldn't get to work in time. And he was asked, please, can you just stay in for this person? He can't get... And without arguments, why you guys make it?
But it's normal.
Why you guys... So the way he took it and no. Like they didn't have to coerce him or entice him or say, okay, an extra pay or they didn't have to do all of that. As the papa is used to doing extra shifts in this country, he said, no, man, no, it's not a problem. And when that word got to management, like without a fight, without an argument, he did it. He's not asking for a pay rise or anything. He was given staff of the month. But here,
are we now saying that the issue is more like a willingness factor? People are not ready to put in, the hard work here in Nigeria. Because if you look at the other divide, we have people excelling in the country. We have young people, we talk about Valiant Voices. We have some programs that showcase young people doing big things.
Yeah,
so are we saying people, once they leave the country, once they migrate, they put in all the hard work necessary, they become successful, but because they think that this the structures in Nigeria,
it's not because they think merciful, it's because it's a fact that hard work will not count here. Just a little in that hard work. I mean, every system or every means of extra income that young people try to bring up, there is some hand of government regulation or some policies that doesn't make sense that they try to just influence all of that, because they just, I mean, it's like they're saying, why are these guys chilling without us? I mean, why are they chilling? Why are they all right? Why are they all right? I mean, everybody was on the case of the guys who flutter wave, good at stuff, pay stack the other time. And I mean, but these guys will be doing, I've been in this thing for some years now.
And
because an international company came on board their project,
got the spotlight.
Everybody's now, I mean, even government is now telling them, Congress, I mean, don't do that. There's no enabling environment for businesses to thrive. I bet you, in the nearest future, market, if they're already on it, don't forget that one business that thrived during the lockdown was the delivery business.
The
bikers delivery thing. Government will soon look at that, if they're not already planning to look at that business, and see how they can bring charges and levies and stifle that business. That's exactly what they just do.
Okay, basically, like I've been, listening to you speak, and I know before we started the show, you had said you're planning to stay, you're not planning to move. But everything you said, like the whole time, is like everything that supports the reason why somebody should actually, leave the country, right? So those are like two different opinions. So just looking at you, people like you who, despite all of these situations, all of this, want to stay. What do you think we can begin to do?
Because you're here.
Don't forget, my experience is not Mercy's experience.
Yes, I understand it.
I may have some sort of soft landing. I may have some sort of something, okay, I can still pull through. There are people who cannot pull through.
Exactly.
There are people who, their parents will have to sell everything to get them there. And I bet you, once they're educated, once they get there, they would, like, home here will know that they have gotten there, because life will change. But when I say I don't want to go, it doesn't mean that I will not do everything to have my children born there. You can't, I won't gamble it. I will sell everything.
You're here, but you're also the jackpot.
Once my first child is coming, I will sell everything. We'll start the hospital visa now. If not for me, I can't determine their future. So let me try and settle them. I mean, dual citizenship now has sort of settlement. It's better than inheritance. That's a very legit inheritance. Canada, US, Sweden, find somewhere where they just give you extra pali.
So what?
And they are safe.
So what can Nigeria begin to do to actually
what does this speak for the
entice
country?
People?
Because we have someone like you, a broadcaster, someone who is an analyst politically, you pretty much know the standings of what all these sectors in Nigeria are. So what does this speak for Nigeria? How can people who do not have the means, to keep their children outside, what can they do to make sure things are better?
Let me shock you. So I think it was in February, a circular came out from the British High Commission saying that some countries in Africa or some countries should no longer, like the UK will no longer accept doctors, nurses, and medical personnel from these countries.
Yes, exactly.
Because the UK fails, they are leaving their country, and there's a brain drain in that sector, in that country. So we will no longer accept. It's not true. I mean, it's very possible that the Nigerian government has appealed to somebody that governs all of them. Say, come on, our guys are exodusing to your country.
So
try to put it, but you don't blame them. Now that's one. Two, Nigeria is an entirely government country. It's politics. So the onus still lies on our political leaders to be fair and sincere with policies. Every time it's policies that would keep sapping on the people. Young people need to be able to stand up, start dry cleaning business, car wash business, and not have some funny tax force come and just close it down or they stop them. You drive along Area 1 Expressway, that roundabout, you just see some guys in jean and polo just standing from the FCT administration because they bought you a car to do your van or your career business, and they don't want to just waylay you and just harass you and just do that. In fact, I was driving one day and a lady was driving a Sienna. It was not branded, a Sienna, and maybe she had some load in the back. They just assumed it was commercial. And they were about to harass her. I had to park and tell her, touch her. No, because you just see her. You don't know if it's a personal property. She's moving from one end to the other end. It means there's even a problem with your database. You don't even know the people who are doing this kind of business in your city. You just, because she's driving a Sienna, a truck kind of car, you just feel like everybody who's doing that. So the thing is, they're just out to just levy anything that's successful. Look at crypto. We're still on crypto. Crypto. I mean, there are people who are doing crypto legitimately. There are platforms that have. I personally, I'm saying, I have been part of crypto. I do crypto. Yes, it's true that fraud, goes through that line, but it's not enough to stifle the whole system. It means you're not doing your work well. Do your work well and get those who are bad out of the system. Above all, create policies that would help businesses thrive. That's all.
Okay, so far, all of the statistics are not encouraging, right? I think so far, everything we said, I don't think there's anything that encourages anybody to actually say, when a young person, I think I'm more particular about young people, any young person to actually say, look, I'm just going to stay in Nigeria. But you also want young person that says, look, I'm going to stay despite all of this. Yes. So how would you encourage, young people? What would you say? Like, look, despite all of this, just stay. What reason would you actually give?
See, you cannot encourage less. I don't know how to encourage young people. I don't know. I'm encouraging myself.
Okay.
Honestly, my wife doesn't want to stay. So you see, this is just two young people in the house. Honestly, I have close friends who don't want to stay. I also have friends who want to stay, but I'm talking from my own immediate family. My wife doesn't want to stay. I mean, if not for the COVID, she told me black and white that after wedding, she would have gone to go and defend her masters, and she would just stay there. She knows I will not leave her. I will hustle and come and join her. But thank God for COVID. She knows. Now, one for me is the kind of job I do. Now, I'm a journalist, I'm a broadcaster. I've built some level of resume and contact doing this job. So I've labored. I've started from the very scratch of being a studio rat to where I am, and I'm not doing badly. Maybe because of, like I said, I have some level of soft landing. That's why I want to stay. So the encouragement to young people will be, if you've put in so much work as I have, or more than I have, you should just think about that and stay. Secondly, the elections are coming up. I mean, we should get more involved with. We should know people who are contesting. We should know. See, it's not enough to just know what they have done. I also understand that in knowing your contestants, you should know their circle, their friends. Those are the people that will form the cabal. If their friends are sensible, it means that when they go haywire, somebody will draw them back. But when everybody just gets sense for the group, there's no hope. That's where we are. Nobody can scold anybody. Nobody can talk. As you are, there are things you will do. You have some very close circle who will tell you, babe, no, this is not good. If you have that kind of friend, and it will help you. So it's not enough to know the people. Let's know their circle. Let's know their antecedents. What have they done? I mean, not somebody will just wake up and after 30 years and enter into his life, no certificate, no course, no degree, no business, nothing. Just come and say because of sympathy, we should now use sympathy and vote for the person. No, it's not good. It's not adding up.
It's not adding up. Okay, we're actually out of time, but before I go, like, where do you think we would get to as a country that would maybe encourage people who have left the country to come back, to invest, to do stuff for the country, and further, help grow the economy of Nigeria? Where do you think we would get to at that point, to entice people to come back home?
When we have very serious leadership, when we have good leadership, when we have leaders who are people-centered. When you're people-centered, even your policies will be people-centered. When we have that kind of leadership, look at the VAT increment. I mean, people, and do this in defense of this VAT thing. Government spokespersons, we're bringing out facts as to this country pays higher VAT. I don't argue with you. That country pays higher VAT. I don't argue with you. But are you seeing the details of their VAT? Yes. Yeah. Are they potholes? Minimum, zero or nothing. But are we seeing our own? No. So, I mean, in the UK, you don't need to have a car. No. Have friends who are in the UK. They've been there 4 or 5 years. You don't need to have a car. But here, car is not a luxury. It's not. It's a necessity. Every young person who's earning between 150k to 200, maybe don't have so much of responsibility or dependence on that money. Try and see if have a car. If not, it just add up. There's no intra-city train. There's nothing just going on. And I'm not blaming one administration. It's been a backlog. But the truth is, you came in because you promised a certain thing. And we expect that you work in that line.
So to you, the problem is bad leadership.
Bad leadership. Bad leadership is everything.
And policies as well.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Okay, thank you so much, Danny, for
Thank
coming on
you.
the show. That's so
Thank
much we
you.
can take. Quite an interesting conversation. I
Very.
think we could go on with this one, but yeah, that's so much you can take on the conversation this morning. Thank you guys for joining us on the show this morning. Don't forget you can be a part of the conversation. Just follow TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also check out our YouTube channel. It's TOS TV Network as well. Also look up our website at www.tostvnetwork.com. I am Adesu Alsi.
And I am Merciful Ajinamo. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.